Hi, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Dan.
Yep.
And we welcome to the studio, Kylie Minogue.
Hi. What a crazy world. Here I am. Here we are.
Yeah, it is wild.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's not every day that we get to have icons in the studio. And yeah, like our show has been home to everybody. And we've had crazy people. Yes, the Neil Youngs of the world and the Billy Corgans and the Slipknots or whoever. Yeah, the icons. You are in a category in and of yourself. And I have been such a huge fan for so long.
Thank you.
But on top of that, I'm a huge Kath and Kim fan. And
look at me. Look at me.
come on, Stare Bear. Get out of here. You are an icon. You may not know this, but she played Kim's, Kim's.
Well, it was
Kim's
a flash.
daughter.
It was a flash forward.
Yes.
To Kim's daughter, Epony, Riley, Kathleen Darling, Charlene, Nee Craig. I think I got them all in there. Yeah. I mean, Kath and Kim forever, and to be on their set was wild.
You have.
I love that of all the things I've done, it's
yeah.
on Kath and Kim, which is definitely up there.
But honestly, when you think about everything, because there is so much, we're going to go through a lot of it. You've been able to tap into culture and to tap into lifestyle in every part of the globe in a way that, like, did you ever genuinely think that taking a song that had come out decades prior, giving it your own twist, would lead to, everything and then some?
The short answer is no. No. So the Loco-Motion I knew, and I had made a demo cassette when I was 17, which I know I had, I kind of had this secret love for pop music and potentially being a singer, but I'd started out acting. So I made a demo cassette more in my mind at the time that if someone, as an actor, can you scuba dive? Yeah. Can you skydiving? Yes. Can you roller skate? Can you sing? Yes. So I did a demo cassette with 3 songs. Loco-Motion wasn't on that, but I'd started singing, and I'd used the little money I made acting when I was 16 to have singing lessons, and I was fairly musical as a kid. Cut to acting on a soap opera, Neighbours, in Australia,
Which is iconic as well.
which is iconic in itself. And we were invited to perform at a benefit for Australian rules football, which is also iconic. It's icons everywhere you look. And we performed a different song. I can't remember what the other song was. And the band was made up of other cast members. I'm certain you can always make a band out of any given cast. Maybe not a good band, but everyone does a bit of something and you can punch out a couple of songs. And we had such a good time, and I just knew Loco-Motion, and we did Loco-Motion. And there was a guy who worked in the music industry in the audience who literally came up to me afterwards and said, "That was great. You should release a record." And I released a record. I made a demo. I didn't have a record company. I made another demo. So, no. Did I ever think that 35 years later I'd be here on my 16th album having experienced this life? No way.
In reinventing yourself in ways that and even in the way that it's broken down, do you see each era as a chance to either show a new side of you, or is it to completely take a different turn? What is it as you lead from one album into the next?
Curiosity, boredom. I think it's more poetic to say curiosity. But I like what's happening around. I am naturally happily malleable. I started as an actor. I like to shapeshift. I like to inhabit different, not necessarily a character, but to shape shift enough with what's happening in music, with what's happening in fashion, and somehow that suits me.
Is that genuinely something that fulfills you, or is it something that you know you need to do just as somebody who is looking to create art constantly and consistently?
Both of those things. Yeah. I mean, it worked for me actually, I'm going back to the very beginning. I released a few albums in quick succession, maybe like an album every year for 3 years. So there wasn't time to change. I didn't really know what I was doing. I sang the song, I did the video, I promoted the songs. It was hugely successful. So everything I've learned on the job. There was no, we'll push you out when you're ready. It's like, go. What do I do? You'll figure it out. Go. So I was going to say from the beginning, it worked for me, so I kept doing it, but maybe it wasn't the very beginning. But as soon as I could start making creative decisions myself, that's what floated my boat.
When does that really take effect?
Like 1990, 91.
Wow.
Around then, yeah. Around the Better the Devil You Know time.
And by the way, okay, so
Is this really weird for you?
No, it's pretty. It's honestly because in 2001, you achieve your highest level of success. Mm-hmm. Not to date, because I think it's going to change with Tension, which is crazy to say. But Fever changes your life again.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the most iconic bodies of work maybe to ever exist, and it holds one of the most iconic songs fucking ever.
It does do that. That it does, yes. Can't Get You Out of My Head was sent from outer space for me, and I got to be the person who delivered that to everyone. And yeah, it was a zeitgeist moment, a seismic shift for me, and yeah, will always have its place. It if you're a fan of mine, it definitely defines that moment. And even slightly beyond that, if you're not a fan, it's probably been in your peripheral hearing, vision, whatever. Well, it's that song.
Oh my God, it's a forever record, but it's not your only forever record.
Well, that's good.
I honestly think Loco-Motion is a forever record too. There's a ton.
It is. Well, Loco-Motion went through different phases. I was growing up. There was a time where I thought, I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to do the songs. It's like a sulky teenager. But now when I do Loco-Motion, it is so celebratory. Everybody loves it. Everybody knows it.
Well, that's the version of the song they know. And I think there's very few artists that embody it, that take on a cover that generations of people, when they reference that song, that's the one that comes to mind.
I do, now that I'm thinking about it, I do love that it happened really organically. This wasn't from a label exec or someone saying, hey, we got the song for you. There's this old classic. I just knew it. So it must have been meant to be.
What is it like when you first come in contact with those types of executives, though? Because it must happen relatively quickly after the success of that.
It was fine. I first signed with a man who left us not too long ago, Michael Gudinski, who was, such a character, but with a good heart. And I was a fish out of water from the beginning, so thankfully he was kind to me as well. This was a time where, especially in Australia, where my first single was in 1987, pop wasn't, it was, other people did it. Australian radio was a lot of like Aussie rock, pub rock, and I was definitely, I can say this without a shadow of a doubt, it was hugely successful, but there was that, who is she? What's she doing here? So my first experience of execs, it did come from nowhere, but it was pretty good. I mean, I had to find my space and stand my ground as best I could as a young person who didn't know anything about the industry, but I figured it out.
Do you remember how many times did you have to meet with them to get creative control eventually? Come the early 90s.
That took years.
And proving yourself or what? or confidence?
Well, I don't think I think it all worked out quite fine.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't, if they'd said what in the first years, you write a song, or what do you want to do? How do you? I segued from acting into music into the Stockcake and Waterman hit factory, which you'll know about. And if listeners don't know, it was Stockcake and Waterman, 3 writers who were producers and did Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Round, Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, Bananarama, like all these amazing smashes. And I ended up working with them and doing my first 4 albums with them. What's the question again? I've just gone, I'm going so far back in time.
No, but as you navigate that, right, and you craft those 4 albums, how do you know that it's time that you want to kind of do it on your own?
About creative being given that choice. I guess by my 4th album, I'd started making a bit of noise. It's not fulfilling me sitting in the studio. Oh, we're ready for you. Sing the lyrics, and we'll handle it all. And I was 21 years old. I'd started, clubbing and having all other sorts of influences, which is very different to 1987 primary color pop. I wanted to express myself more, and to their credit, they helped me with that.
By the way, that's
Oh, a cute little fun fact is at that time Pete Waterman, the voice box of Stockcake and Waterman, Pete Waterman Limited, PWR Records, said, "All right, kid, you want to get more involved? Tell me a song you like." And I said, "Come On and Get My Love" by D-Mob and Kathy Dennis. And so that's what led to Better the Devil You Know. And then for the video for Better the Devil You Know, we filmed that in Australia. So I was kind of far away and could make it a little bit. You go timeline, Better the Devil You Know. Everything's changed.
What are you carrying with you from that era that still exists today as you go into Tension?
From PWR, from the early years?
Or no, from Better the Devil You Know. The second you take over creative control or you have that say.
All of it. I mean, I guess I do have control. I have the final say, but I love collaboration. I love work with the best people, get the best out of them, have a happy environment. Everybody's happy. Push yourselves to the limits. So I guess having that time with Better the Devil You Know showed me that I could break out of what I had been doing previously, and then just built on that, I guess.
What was it like for you to set up rooms for this latest album? Because you have the opportunity to curate and put together a room of whoever you want, and I'm assuming you consume like everybody else culture around you, so you're able to put together. I mean,
well, I started in my comfortable and productive and loving and successful zone, which is with one of my favorite humans. I'm talking about him a lot when it comes to Tension, Mr. Biff Stannard, writer, producer, best known initially for doing the Spice Girls, the start of the Spice Girls. And then you name it, he's probably worked with everyone else. But we first worked together in 1999. Yes, last century. And eons after my first single. And he's just it's a great safe space to work, and I feel like I write very authentically with him in that environment. So that was a really good place for me to start, and just we don't really start with any we just what do we feel like that day? I've got a book full of notes on my phone, notes everywhere, notes in my head, and we just play, really. And then once we find something that may have potential, then it feels more worky, trying to, fine tune and get forensic about things, which I Can't help it. I do. I think I'm getting worse as time goes by.
But there's genius in that nuance, you know?
Oh, yeah. You know, that I've sent notes of, from all sorts of places at the finish line. But what about, can we just put this, like it might be a breath, it might be, a harmony. It could be another part. So anyway, I started with Biff and Doc Blackwell and John Green, who were 3 writers and producers. They all produce together. And we like writing together. We like creating together.
What a special constant to have in your life since the 90s.
Yeah. We just, give the biggest hugs, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs and in-betweens.
I was going to say, hell and back a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, between us, I mean, yeah, definitely.
But it's with those people that you can create the safest, most vulnerable art.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I mean, where does Padam Padam...
Well, Padam Padam, it was a demo that found me, so...
But this album, though, is he serving as executive producer over the entire project?
No, but Biff has 7 tracks on the album, so...
Wow.
We're like this. Wow, we really did it.
That's... By the way, I'm looking at the track list now. Like, when you look at this album and you look at this body of work, where does it fall in your brain? Because even the streams on Padam Padam
I shake my head in wonder and appreciation. I really do. I have not had this moment in the modern world with social media, with TikToks and, people's creation coming straight back, like fast, back at me.
Instant.
Yeah. Yes, Can't Get You Out of My Head is one of those songs, but it was a completely different time and era. So with Padam Padam, it's just different, and it's none of us saw this coming. You hope for a success, you hope for good plays and a good response, but honestly, I didn't. I don't think anyone said, "Oh, here's a viral smash. You're welcome." I mean, no, you can't make that happen.
Where does this album begin? Like, what song starts it all off?
I would say the beginning of what's ended up on the album is Hold On To Now. And I was in Australia, had a little time on my hands, and I reached out to Biff saying, have you got, what tracks, send me some backing tracks. I'm getting itchy feet. I want to write over something, because I don't play any instrument myself. So I need the track, unless it's just, a melody or a rhythm, whatever I've got in my head. And I really need to remind myself of what that track was compared to what Hold On To Now has or became. But that would be the start for me, which was kind of just a melody. I didn't even have the lyric then, but that was the start.
Why did you feel the need to do another album? Because I'm assuming, like, you really don't need to. It's only really when you want to.
True, but I think it's all I've ever known, for a start. And secondly, making Disco, the previous album, started in the studio, which was all normal, fun and games. We've got an album called Disco. We just figured out how to access that and how to make that sound work for me. To try and make it more than bad versions of disco songs that are already so amazing, why bother? So it took a minute for us to find the DNA for that album. And then the pandemic, lockdown, etc. So the bulk of the album was finished in isolation. So yeah, I didn't get to tour that album. It's kind of like we all put so much into it, and it really, it was my savior throughout the pandemic. Definitely, I had something to focus on and learn and feel connected with people through that. But I wanted to get back in the studio with people. But the bonus is I can now self-record. So I took some that's been great with this album. I can, we don't need to take up time in the studio perfecting the vocals. I say, I'll send them to you. I'll send them to you tomorrow. I'll send them to you next week. Let's keep writing.
Yeah, you get in, you collaborate, and then you take that work
so
home.
Come to think of it, it really was a new way. It's the first time I've kind of merged both of those worlds.
Didn't you say you're using GarageBand?
I started with GarageBand, yeah. I didn't know. I mean, I was home, as everyone was home, and I was speaking with Duck is the more technical. He'll operate the session. I mean, he's extremely musical as well, but he'll do the tapping and the plugging and everything. And so we left it a few weeks as we all did. Is this going for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Maybe see you back in the studio. When it became evident that wasn't going to happen, then there was a suggestion that I could maybe record from home. And he encouraged me. He said, yeah, just try GarageBand. You're probably going to end up on Logic. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I remembered that I was curious about self-recording in 2017 for the previous album, for Golden. But there was a mic and an interface I'd never opened. But just by miracle, it was in my house, as in not in Australia. I was living in London at the time, not in a road case, not like, I thought it was like a treasure hunt. I'm sure you're here. Oh, I've got it. Now what do I do? And so he taught me through it. So super basic. None of those vocals ended up on the album, but by the time we'd ordered, had a laptop set up with Logic, and everyone was learning. I worked with various producers remotely operating my computer, so I was able to watch both Logic and Pro Tools, but I just veered towards Logic. It kind of moved. It was the big sister of GarageBand. So yeah, that's how I started. And when I got unsure, I was saying to myself, like 12-year-olds, do this with their eyes shut. You have to be able to do it. And yeah, now unless I'm singing in the studio with people, I've had various opportunities where my A&R, Jamie Nelson, who, is instrumental in the last 3 albums, he'll say, well, we can get you a studio. We'll sort it all out for you. And I just go, no, thanks. No, I'm really happy recording myself. I spend ages doing it. I'll completely overdo it till I'm cross-eyed. I can't think straight. The sessions is too packed. And, the internal voice is saying, shut it down. Shut it down. Just one more. Shut it down. I think I've got like the tiniest different angle. Shut it. Eventually, Apple S, shut. And then I'll come to the session the next day and just be so overwhelmed with too much. Apple knew. Start a new one. But it's become
it's the process.
It's a process that works for me, because all the work that I've done in the hours of the session before kind of percolates overnight. The particles find their place, so I go in fresh. Particularly if it's a demo that is another voice, and we like, there's something about the voice in the demo that I want to replicate, but not lose sight of myself. So I tend to really parrot it, like overdo it, because I can now overdo it, filter the other vocal out until I'm not hearing it. I'm hearing my version of them, and then I can do my version of me.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you remember the first time you heard the demo for Padam Padam?
Absolutely. I know exactly where I was. I was in Miami. I was having hair and makeup done for an event. Message came through from Jamie Nelson. So aside from writing in the studio, lots of songs come in. Some hit the mark, some don't. But I know Jamie's gone through the A&R process initially, and he'll send wild ideas to me that prefaced with this, this could be the worst thing ever, could be the best. How do you feel about it? Dumbo here is like, yeah, I'll try it. I'll try anything. But when Padam Padam came through, already looking at the title Padam Padam, I was like, Padam Padam? Padam Padam? What? I mean, I only knew Padam Padam, the Edith Piaf song, from earlier last century. Padam Padam Padam, like the kind of the waltz song. And every time a demo or a pitch comes through, it's wildly exciting because I'm about to press play and I have no idea what I'm going to hear. None. It's so exciting. That could be a huge letdown. It can also be the moment like Padam Padam where I was immediately pulled in, and once I just thought the lyrics were so clever. Ina, the writer, her voice is very similar tone and pitch to me, so I could immediately picture myself doing it, and I was blown away. I was like, love it. When can I get my vocals on it? I'll do it. Tell me when.
Did you know instantly that it was going to be something?
I think I knew in that instant, not to the point that we were talking about earlier, that it's, people say, Padam's noun, verb, adjective, greeting, swear word, I mean, whatever. Padam is many things, and it just has felt like certainly a seismic moment in my career. But again, perhaps a little like Can't Get You Out of My Head. It has traveled, it's been on like news alerts, doing Padam Padam. People are talking in Padam Padam. It's gone way beyond a song, but the song is, of course, the strength of it, and that it will always come back to the song. So we had that for about a year before the album was wrapped, and then it's a horse race, isn't it? You got the one that you're like, that's the one. Yeah, that will be our lead. That horse is going to win the race. And then others get different energy. You don't know, is one going to just stop? And so there were other songs that were in the running, but eventually it did come back to Padam. We had to remind ourselves of that feeling the instant that I heard it.
It's wild.
It's a trip. It is a trip. And I guess it sounds pretty easy when you put it like that, but it's like, sifting for gold.
No, totally.
And you just got to keep going and try and find that nugget.
And to do it for as long as you've been doing it is insane. And to be just as relevant today as 2001 is fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
It is.
I won't use the profanity.
I will.
But thank you for that, because that's also how I feel.
I had no idea. I didn't know you were the most famous person in Britain for like a long time. Could still be.
Am I?
I mean, yeah. According to my producer.
I think I have
there's 17 pages on you.
Yeah,
it's not a joke.
Bless you for going through all of that. I think this is still true that at Madame Tussauds, the wax.
I was going to bring you were the okay. Somebody may have dethroned you actually.
Oh.
Are we going to break the news to you that for a while next to Queen Elizabeth, you were the person with the most wax figures?
Oh, who's second now?
I believe the number you have is 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Harry Styles was just announced today.
Oh, Harry, that's all right.
With 7.
7? I've got some work to do, clearly.
Sorry.
I think there's 7 new ones. Like they made all 7 at one time.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
7 different outfits, yeah.
What's it like?
This is dreadful news. It really brought my day down.
So sorry.
Okay, I don't mind. I've still got a rosette. I'm still number 3. It's not bad.
What was it like meeting the Queen?
Oh, amazing. I was totally starstruck. I mean, yeah. I performed at the Jubilee in 2012, which was the same year London hosted the Olympics. It was just, Olympics. Finish your sentence, Minogue. It was just an amazing time to be in the UK, and I performed at her Jubilee concert right in front of Buckingham Palace. And at a certain point in the day, someone had asked Gary Barlow and I. Gary Barlow is a very successful solo artist, but he was in Take That if anyone's not familiar with the name, but, huge deal. So he and I were asked if we would do the introductions for Her Majesty after the show. Yes. Yeah. What does that mean? I said yes before I knew what that entailed. And I have told this story before that they said, no, it's everyone will be, lined up in order. You've got cards, you'll back and forth, and she'll go around between Gary and myself. Okay, so, like I say, hugely exciting night. We were backstage when she arrived. It was just like a vision, this like shining light of it. I mean, I tell you, the energy changes. Anyone will tell you that. When she approached us, the energy changed. And anyway, cut to the pretty funny part is post the show, and I hope Gary will back me up with this story because this is my version of events, that I don't think people were really in the order they were supposed to be. So, like, yeah, I know that's Sir Elton John. I know that's Sir Tom Jones. I know that's, but I think there was a couple that I wasn't sure of and he wasn't sure of. So kind of behind is like, I got this one, I got that one. And I may have mumbled a couple of the names. Only because I've been in the lineup and I know what it's like. It's you're standing there for a while, and whoever it is, whichever royal's coming along, they're getting closer. You're excited and panicked, and then they go, you don't know what you said, you don't know what happened. So I thought, okay, shh, Her Majesty is probably not really hearing me. They're not just, you can fudge a couple. So I may have fudged a couple. I don't think it took away from anyone's moment because it was amazing.
But do you think any of these royals look at you the same way that you look at them?
Who knows? They couldn't. I don't think so.
It is wild. Like I'm somewhat of a royalist.
I'm going to go to Madame Tussauds and make all my previous waxworks from 1989 or whenever it was surround Harry. And it'll be like about a face-off.
You won the Kylie versus Kylie war easily. You can easily win this one.
I'll give it a hot shot. I will.
So.
Any more bad news?
No.
I'm only joking.
I do want to say, while talking about breaking records and a lot of wax figures, your Glastonbury performance, you broke the record for the most people watching.
Yeah, that's been broken as well.
Has it really?
Yes.
Oh, shit. All right.
Oh, Sir Elton John went and blew that one. But at the time, yes. See why I have to keep making records?
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
I got to keep the stats up.
By the way,
did they put anything good on your umpteen pages of incredible, iconic information?
Yeah. Yes, there's so much. Wait, you do have the #1 branded Prosecco.
Thank God.
Company in the UK
For now.
For now. Oh, stop it. I do.
I mean, it is a big deal that you stopped Kylie from trademarking Kylie.
Yes.
That's. I mean, you did a fight.
I've been trademarking that name since 1980, whatever. Yeah.
I feel like you fought that fight for many Kylies. You know, you did it.
Well, there are many Kylies. There will always be many Kylies. Bravo, everyone, is all I say. Yeah, bravo to all the Kylies out there.
Yeah.
Yay.
By the way, Kylie Minogue's entire discography is waiting for you on Amazon Music. Tension is going to be there. How'd you know this album was finished?
I don't think you ever know, really. I mean, if I could go back, there's probably things I'd change, but nothing too drastic. I'd love to know the answer with other artists on that. Jamie Nelson did help me. His words were ringing in my ear on this album as when he said it to me on the disco album, because of course we were wrapping everything up remotely, and I was so not being in the room, not playing it in any room with people. I was quite uncertain, and he had some wise words which I we'll paraphrase now, but it was to the effect of, any album is just going to be a finished work, creation of that point in time. If it's a week later, it's that point in time. However he said it was way more lovely than I'm attempting to. But it just made me think, yeah, I've just got to, and that time is now. That's the deadline's here, or we've decided this is it, and we have enough. It's very hard to let go. It's so hard.
I gotta say, like, you have a very interesting relationship with your A&R that a lot of artists in today's generation, and maybe people in the room can correct me if I'm wrong, they don't necessarily have that relationship with their A&R. Like, it's very different.
Well, it's someone else I go a long way back with. I met Jamie Nelson in 1999.
See, that's like...
And we've worked on and off throughout that entire time.
But you respect him, like...
Oh, enormously. We agree, we disagree. He makes me laugh. He makes me furious. I mean, it's like...
But that's what you want.
It's a proper relationship. And I really respect his ear, his cheekiness to try different things. He's not bored with me. We're both really, we still want to smash it, and we still want to create and make music that will have its place in the world.
How would you describe music in the world of music today?
Are you kidding me? How would I describe it?
Yeah, especially compared to, I don't know, even 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Compared to, it cuts to the chase quicker. That would be the biggest takeaway. Your long intro, your double, it's like snap. Your verse is like half a verse, chorus. It's a lot of it is TikTokified. No doubt for the kind of attention span that we all talk about.
Do you lose storytelling ability?
Not if it's done really well. I'm looking at Harry Styles Above You. I mean, as it was, I lose it every time I hear that. I'm just like, that's perfection. That is perfection. And it doesn't muck about. It gets straight to it. I don't think you lose. They're different. I have obviously album versions on Tension. The song Hold On To Now, there's just such a sumptuous ending on that song that just, it feels quite, it feels like a real treat. It kind of shouldn't be there, but you can't imagine not being there. It's just a little traveling extra to have the luxury of time.
So, yeah, because you can get more out of it and you have more room to breathe. But when you look at a song like, Vegas High, which, by the way, you have a Vegas residency.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Does that record play by the same exact rules as Hold On To Now?
No, Vegas High would be more... Are you okay? Do you need some water?
Thanks for asking. It's really nice.
Vegas High would be more formulaic. Then Hold On To Now is more expressive. And I think I run the gamut of various things on Tension. Padam Padam is 2 minutes 30 something. I mean, it's short. It doesn't feel short. It doesn't feel like it's scrimped. And Hold On To Now is probably 4. So we haven't stuck by any specific rule.
And the songs are back to back when you listen in order on the album.
Are they? I don't even know the order.
Maybe this is not in order, but I have a whole track list.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah. In addition to bad news, I have some good news. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the bad news has got the total shoulder shrugging, shrugging, guffawing. Which doesn't happen too much in a day. It's happened right here, right now.
When we consume this album, should we listen in order, top to bottom?
Well, the first listening party we had was accidentally on shuffle, and it all worked out okay. I'm like, yeah. Like, I think I did have the order in my head then. I was like, this isn't, anyway, go with it. And there was a panic. You're like, like a presidential aide. Ma'am, there's a problem. We're on shuffle. Do you want to go back to the album order? I'm like, no, just keep going. So either way, but I think the running order is pretty good.
Listen in order. The entire discography was waiting for you.
And
just
then
sitting
listen
there.
to it on shuffle and you tell me what you prefer. Tell me if we got it right or not. Hey, give me more bad news. Just sending a message. Really? You could have swapped tracks 2 and 6. Just saying.
Listen to it all. The entire discography is waiting for you. And plus, if you want to go to the Vegas residency, we'll put some information for you in the description below. It's there. It's waiting.
It's very exciting.
In honor of this interview, I'm going to go home tonight and rewatch your Kath and Kim episode. I haven't watched the 20th anniversary special, though, because if I watch it, my friend Jacob introduced me to the show. And we will not watch
Thanks,
it.
Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yes. Thanks, Jacob.
If it happens, it means it's over. You know, I don't want to. Like that's all.
Yeah.
After the 2 movies, the special is all I like. That's all that's left.
Yeah, I've not seen the final episode of Succession. Don't say a word.
Are you
Like,
holding?
delayed? Yeah, I'm kind of. I'm holding on. I'm holding on to now.
Listen's attention as it comes out. It's going to populate the Amazon Music page. Link in the description below. Thank you for gracing us with this charity work and giving us your time and energy.
That was awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
You are Kylie Minogue, everybody.